He did not know her name, but the condition required him to give her the right one, the name a family had stolen. And when he said it aloud, the building stopped breathing. Welcome to Untold Lores. What was given cannot be taken back. Part 4 of 4. He spent 6 hours in that apartment trying to understand what had been taken. Elias did not speak again. He sat. He waited. He breathed with the building. Mateo went through everything he knew about his mother, about her life before him, about the name she had said once and buried. Her name was Senna. She had been 23 when he was born. She had worked 2 jobs and never explained why there was no help coming from anywhere. He had assumed poverty. He had assumed abandonment. He had not assumed inheritance. At hour 7 it came to him, not from memory. From the document itself he reread Condition 11. The settlement is discharged only upon the voluntary return of something taken. He looked at the woman in the pale dress. She was young in the way that people are young when time does not touch them. She had dark hair. She had his mother's nose. She had been here since before the building existed, and she had been here since the agreement, and she had not aged, and she was looking at him now with eyes that said something he had not been trained to read. But he read it anyway. She was waiting to be named. He understood then what had been taken. His grandfather had made the agreement. His grandfather had acquired everything. The money, the land, the power. And in exchange he was supposed to return something to the estate: recognition. The acknowledgement of a bloodline the family had hidden. The woman in the pale dress was not a debt. She was a person the family had declared did not exist. She had been declared dead once in 1952 when the agreement was made, and again in 1971 when the family erased the records. 2 death certificates, 1 woman. He stood up. He walked to her. He knelt beside her chair. He said her name. He did not know her name. He understood that was the condition. He had to give her one. Not just any name. The right name. The name the family had taken from her. He looked at Elias. What was her name? Elias had not moved, had barely breathed in 6 hours. She was my sister, he said. Her name was Mara. Mateo turned back to her. He said Mara Voss. The building stopped breathing. It stopped all at once, like a held breath finally released. But in reverse, like something that had been exhaling for 70 years finally drew itself closed. The lights came back up, all of them, every floor at once. Mateo heard it happen through the walls, floor by floor, something shifting, something loosening. The woman, Mara, looked at him with those still dark eyes. She placed one hand briefly on his forearm. Her hand was cold. She stood. She walked to the door. She opened it. She stepped through. She was gone. He sat in her chair. He could feel what it had cost. Not pain exactly, but something leaving. A thinning. As if some part of what made him himself had been given away. He understood now that he had not returned a name. He had returned a life. And in doing so, under the terms of Condition 11, he had transferred something from himself into the estate to balance what his grandfather had taken. He did not know yet what it was. Elias finally moved. He rose from his chair unhurried. He straightened his jacket. He looked at Mateo without cruelty and without warmth. The other residents will find their exits now, he said. The settlement is discharged. Mateo nodded. And me. Elias picked up the document from the table. He folded it once. He put it in his jacket pocket. You are free to leave, he said. He walked to the door. He opened it. He looked back at Mateo once. Then he stepped through the door and was not there. The corridor was empty. The elevator took Mateo to the lobby. The lobby doors opened. He walked out into the early morning, the city still gray and quiet around him. He sat down on a bench and tried to call his mother. She answered on the second ring. He said, Mom, I need to ask you about the name Voss. There was a long silence on the other end. Then she said, very quietly, how did you find that building? He looked up at Orem Tower. Every light was off now, every single floor dark. He stood and started walking. On the second block he stopped. He reached into his jacket for his press badge. It was there. He pulled it out. He looked at it. His name was there, his photograph was there, but the date of birth had changed. It read a year later than it should have. He put the badge back, he kept walking. He had returned to life. The estate had taken a year of his in exchange. He told himself that was fair. He told himself that every few days, for the rest of his life, and mostly he believed it, mostly. That's it for part 4. Follow Untold Lores for part 1 of our next story. Like and subscribe for daily stories.